Hello and welcome to another episode of the Balls Deep podcast. I'm joined today by my co-host Tactical Potato. What's up, John? How's it going?
Hey, what's up?
How's life been treating you, man?
Been good, dude. I've been locked up in a fucking shed for the last week, so.
Did you just find?
No, it was my chair. It's me bench stuff laying in my chair. That's a great way to start. That's a great way to start. How you doing? Oh, I've been better, man. Trapped wind. Sorry about that.
It sounded like a fight. I was like, what? You couldn't have done that before the podcast started?
I literally went to... Is this? Is that it?
I can't hear it now.
Can you?
No.
If I'm talking on it,
I heard it there. There we go.
Yeah. It's the arm. It's the arm on my chair. It's the armrest on my chair. The corner of it. I lean on it. Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been good, dude. I've been good. It's been a bit of a crazy kind of week, so it has, you know, all the crazy shit that's going on around the world.
That is true.
Kids are all off school. Schools are all shut down, so it's a bit like a kind of an oven in the house right now, where the kids are constantly just at each other's throats.
Yeah.
Give me that toy. No, give me that toy. I had it first. Pew pew. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I know what you mean. See,
what
growing up, I've been, I was the youngest in the house, so I was younger than my brother by 10 years. So I was always the one that was kind of coddled and, you know, given all the toys and everything else. And I never had that sibling rivalry, so
you're the baby.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, I was. Always, and will always be.
Yeah, and my brother and sister, they used to fight all the time. But with me, no fighting, never had any of that kind of problem as well. So, yeah. I wouldn't know that problem.
I did. I had an older sister who used to blame everything on me, and my younger sister was the baby who got away with everything, but I got the blame for everything. So if my older sister did something, then she'd just go to my dad. I didn't do that. It was John, and then I'd get in trouble. You know, I get in serious trouble. So the two of us, from the age of about 12 till the age of about probably 18, killed each other, constantly fighting. Constantly, you know. I remember chasing her up my stairs once at home in my parents' house.
Yeah.
And you know the really old, because I grew up in a council housing estate, so it was like really the doors were really, really thin doors.
Oh yeah.
And I remember swinging my boot at her. I think I was about 13 years of age.
Right.
At the same time as she slammed the door shut, and I put my foot through the door because the door was made of like really, really thin kind
like
of.
Wood chips.
It wasn't even wood chip. Like the outside of the door, the flat surface of the door was wood chip, but the kind of filling on the inside was just basically like scrumpled up paper. Yeah, it was like scrumpled up paper.
Right.
You know, and then a wood chip on the other side. So when she swung the door and I swung my boot went right through it. So I ended up getting in serious trouble. And my dad made me, when I got my first job, made me buy one brand new door for the house, and it was the most expensive door in the whole house. And it was for my sister's bedroom. So it was like this proper big mahogany bloody door upstairs in the house, and it was just her bedroom. The rest of them still had the cheapy fucking doors, so they did.
The only thing which is similar to that happened with me was when I had gone to a friend's house. This was, I think, in second year at college, and we were just chilling at his house and everything else. And I think his house was also like a council house as well. But the thing is, he had just had renovation done in the house. I didn't realize one of the walls wasn't actually one of those proper walls. It was like one of those fake cardboard walls.
Yeah, partition walls.
Yeah. But the thing is, I didn't realize it was one of those, and I was leaning next to it, and I kept leaning back further and further, and I just kind of went right through the fucking wall. So it was a brand new wall, and I went right through it because it was so thin, and there was no support for it. It was just painted up. It looked like a normal wall.
What was your reaction like then when you were laying on the ground, the far side of the wall, looking back through the hole?
I actually had a concussion because as I fell through the wall, I hit my head on an actual part of the wall itself. So my head was just kind of like,
ooh.
Yeah. Luckily, there was no, lasting damage. Thank God. But I was like, what the fuck? Listen here, you.
I don't know. There could be an argument against that, so there could. I'm fine. Are you sure?
Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, looking at the past week or two, I guess, because this has been something which has been going on for quite some time. The coronavirus, like this thing has been kind of starting off for like what 2 months now, 3 months now, and now it's getting to the point where it's getting like pandemic state as well. A lot of countries are getting into like the panic state as well, where people are panicking and buying all these products and everything else. Like, I work at Sainsbury's, right? And for the past 2-3 days, everything's been sold out. Like, you can't find toilet paper, you can't find hand sanitizers or anything else like that.
I don't get the whole. I understand the panic buying, right? Because media is definitely not helping things in relation to, I guess, scaremongering.
Yeah.
Because there's people sharing around pictures of all these shops with empty shelves, so everyone's going, "Oh shit, I need to go to the shop quickly because ours could be out of the 40 rolls of arse roll that I need for one day or whatever." And then they all go to the shop and they panic buy as well, and fights are breaking out over hand sanitizer, over loo roll. And it happened here in Ireland, and it done it for one day. That was 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Where when the leader of Ireland turned around in America when he was over there with Trump, and he said that schools are all about to be closed, businesses some will be affected as well, and basically it was a time to shut down, basically.
Yeah.
And everyone just ran to the shops, and there was people in the shops with, like, you would have seen it yourself, right? Where it's a full trolley and it's got nothing but kitchen roll and toilet roll.
Yeah,
you know,
basically.
And maybe a few tins of beer.
Yeah.
And they'll go out with that. 2 days later, the stores here in the town that I'm in are all fully stocked again. You know, so it was completely pointless and needless. Do you know what I mean? And just pure panic for the sake of panic, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so it is quite scary at the same time.
I think it's one of those things, like, we live in a world where social media and the internet is a thing, and as much as how good the internet can be, sometimes it can also be a negative thing, especially, like, it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's like, sometimes it's a good way of spreading information and all that kind of stuff, but at the same time, there's also misinformation that gets spread, or panic, and depending on the media sources that are posting stuff, it can actually make situations better or worse. With the whole panic buying
Dr.
and everything else.
If there's someone called Dr. Bob on Twitter telling you how to bloody look after yourself in relation to the coronavirus, and he's not actually a doctor, he just got it online or something. Then, but a lot of people will still believe it. You know, there's a lot of gullible people will see the doctor in his name and go, "Oh, he's after telling me that I need to drink 6 bottles of whiskey and I'll get rid of it." You know? Yeah. So quick, go buy the whiskey.
I mean, if anything, like, I think this is probably a good opportunity to take as well, just to say, like, you know how everyone's been saying it on the internet, the NHS has been saying it, medical professionals have been saying it, this and that. Ultimately, you know what? It has a high infection rate and all that kind of stuff, sure, but just, you know, don't be a filthy bastard. Make sure you clean your hands.
Pretty much,
make sure you wash your hands.
Wash your hands.
Exactly. You know what? It actually blows my mind, the number of people that don't actually wash their hands as well.
No, but I think it's blokes more than that. Right.
Oh,
and I definitely think it's blokes more than anything. Like, if you go into a public toilet, whether you're in a bar, whether you're in a cinema, whether you're in your local gym, wherever you are, and you go into even an airport or that, and you go into the toilets, you will see guys just walk straight in, whip their donger out, piss, and walk straight back out the door.
You know what?
You know, and you're thinking, and they grab the handle of the door as well. You have to grab you can wash your hands, but then you still have to grab the handle of the door some way. You know, whether you're trying to wedge it open with your elbow or you're waiting for someone to open the door, you still have to get out there because this filthy bastard has just touched the handle.
Something like that happened with me literally yesterday. There's a guy, like, I'd gone for a piss and I was in one of the stalls at work and I heard another person come in. He got in the stall, he did whatever he did, and then he got out and he started walking out of the door. And I heard him because he didn't wash his hands. You know, the sound of a tap turning on and everything else was very distinct. And I didn't hear any of that. And he started walking out. And I yelled out, like, while I was still in the bog, I was like, dude, wash your hands. Come back in here and wash your hands. I just yelled that. And I think he kind of heard me and he kind of felt a bit embarrassed. He came back and washed his hands properly. And then he walked out. Like, I was still in the bog, and like at the time when he was,
he didn't fill a cup of water or something and chuck it over your head.
Over the thing is, my voice is quite loud, and I'm not exactly a small lad. So people at work, shut up, you. So people at work, I don't know, people get intimidated by that, and I'm like, you know what? This is probably a good reason to be intimidated. You better wash your hands. I'm going to put your head through the fucking thing. Get on with it and wash your hands.
Yeah, it's quite disturbing when you hear people going to the toilet and then just going straight back out the door. Not washing their hands. You know? And
after he was
done...
I
seen it in the cinema where a guy... me, my wife and my son were getting ready to go in. I think it was the new Spider-Man movie when it came out. And we're getting ready to go in. So we've got our buckets of popcorn there. And I bring my son into the toilets, and there's a guy in there. And next thing, he walks out in front of us after we had washed our hands, but he didn't wash his hands. And he walks straight over, picks up his bucket of popcorn and starts eating the
Oh.
popcorn, and then walks in thinking, you're going, really? Really, dude? You know? Like fucking 2 seconds and you'd have, like, even, like, not 2 seconds, but a minute and you'd have had your hands washed.
Exactly.
And you'd be good to go, you know?
That's just nasty. You know what? After that guy left and I was done washing my hands and everything else, there was a spare bog roll over there. I used that. I grabbed like a bunch of it and wrapped it around the door handle because I didn't want to touch it. And then I opened the fucking door to leave the bathroom at work because I was like, I'm not touching this thing. There are too many filthy people at work. It's just kind of crazy. Literally, that's one thing which people need to just remember. Wash your hands, follow the instructions, and just develop good habits in general. It's not just for a pandemic, just in general. Stop being a filthy person. You know, it's quite simple as that. As they say, prevention is better than cure. And
because even if you could be okay by this virus, it's about the elderly or people who have respiratory issues.
Yeah,
they won't be. So by you not looking after yourself, someone else is going to kill.
Exactly.
You know, don't be a selfish, filthy bastard.
So on the topic of the coronavirus, how's everything in Ireland? Because you guys you went into lockdown, didn't you?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's a bit weird because we went into lockdown in terms of all schools, colleges, universities. All of them are closed.
Yeah.
But and they're not allowing any gathering of people over 100. You know, so you can have 99 people in a pub. But as soon as that one guy walks in,
99 people, but a virus ain't one.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so like any gathering over 100 is not allowed. But I'm not sure how it's not being policed. I don't think it's being policed. Like, it's St. Patrick's Day on Tuesday.
Yeah,
and there's still pubs putting up flyers talking about St. Patrick's Day. Come down to the pub, enjoy the day with a few beers.
Yeah,
this sort of thing. And now that people are going to be locked in their houses, I know there's going to be lads going, fuck this, I'm going to the pub.
Yeah, definitely.
And there probably will be big gatherings of people. On top of that, we've also got, we had a load of, like I remember I spoke to you yesterday about how Ireland was supposed to play Italy in rugby last weekend.
Yeah.
And how the game was abandoned because of Italy being affected by the coronavirus. But yet, they didn't cancel the flights from Italy. So a lot of Italian fans who were coming over to watch the rugby still came into Dublin, a couple of thousand of them. And went around Dublin drinking and celebrating, just having a holiday, a weekend away, you know, and then flew back to Italy. So that's going to hit us in about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it will. So it's been a bit weird. Then you have Cheltenham. The Cheltenham boys will all be coming back today and tomorrow.
Yeah.
And there was like thousands of people at that. So they reckon we're 2 weeks. We're 14 days behind Italy.
Yeah.
And we're on the same kind of curvature that they're on at the minute. I think most European countries are. So it's about trying to stop it. We don't have the best healthcare system, whereas Italy has a phenomenal one.
Yeah.
So if we get hit hard, then I'd imagine Ireland could turn out being worse than what Italy is if they don't do it right, you know, which is scary.
Yeah, I mean, at least you kind of have like some sort of lockdown, I suppose. With us in the UK, Boris Johnson's just like, nah, we're just going to delay the lockdown. Instead, just tell people that, you know, they're more likely going to lose loved ones and all that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, I get it. He's being a little bit realistic about that. But at the same time, you're the prime minister. Don't kind of incite panic with people, innit?
Yeah, well, he more or less just told you to wash your hands and you'll be grand. You know, you're going to lose loved ones, but this is what's going to happen. But he didn't shut down football matches or anything like that. They did that themselves.
Yeah.
The Premier League did that themselves. The same with the rugby, the same with the golf, all of that. But the government didn't. Sure didn't.
Yeah. I guess this is also in part with the whole Brexit thing happening as well. So being a little bit like, okay, we've just had Brexit happen. We've just left the EU and everything else. If the country gets shut down, then how is the UK going to actually function? Because most of the stuff is imported in anyway. Like, I don't think the UK even produces any of the stuff anymore at this point. Or if it does, it's a very small percentage. Most of it is import or export, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess there's that concern as well. Did you see that story about that kid in Leeds hustling and selling hand sanitizer for 50p a squirt?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw that story.
It's hilarious, but at the same time, you have to think that that's a kid doing it. There's also adults doing it.
Yeah.
There's like people buying, like you said, someone come into your store and tried to buy a ton of hand sanitizer, wasn't it?
Yes.
And that was definitely to resell it for a higher price. Like there's There's no way you'd need like a big bale of hand sanitizer.
He
for
was trying to
yourself.
buy 300 packs of the Dettol wipes and 200 hand sanitizer bottles. And Sainsbury's basically just turned around and said, look, you can't buy that. It's a cap of 5 per person. And actually, that person rang in today because their order didn't get delivered because it basically, whatever happened. And and he was having a go at the manager saying, if I want to order 300, I'm going to order 300. You can't just say no. I was like, and then the manager's like, yeah, we can actually say no because it's in the best interest of everyone, not just you. This and that. Because I was there. I was listening to the conversation. I couldn't stop giggling, but at the same time, it was both funny and serious that something like that actually happened. I love the fact that that kid is going to use that 9 quid he made to buy a doner kebab and a pack of Doritos. I love that. That's great.
Yeah. It's like, what are you going to spend that money on? You're going to invest it. You're going to do something good. I'm buying a kebab.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then I also saw that Tom Hanks got infected. British health ministers got affected.
British health minister's 82-year-old mother. You've got Colm Hudson-Odoi for Chelsea. You've got Mikel Arteta, who's the manager of Arsenal. I think you've got an Everton footballer as well. So it's happening everywhere. A lot of people are catching.
Yeah, I wonder if Trump's got it, because with all of his meetings that he's been taking and handshaking he's been doing, I wonder if he's got it as well. Because I think they declared a state of emergency yesterday as well. Because I was looking at the BBC and the US have basically declared that now as well. So I guess we'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think they've got a pretty high infection rate as well over there, which is really scary as well.
Yeah. And then those are also the cases which are being reported as well, my one thing which I'm thinking about is because my dad and my brother still live in India, and I'm just thinking to myself, India, has this cases of massive areas which are slums, for example, the poorer people and all that kind of stuff. They wouldn't be able to afford like the Medicare and all that kind of stuff as well. How is India gonna counter something like that? Like with China, I guess they basically locked people in their own houses and all the other stuff that they ended up doing. India's not going to do that. So there's also that slight concern
I think the
as
Indian
well.
Prime Minister has is it the Indian vice
president?
What's the leader of India? Vice president, the vice president of India, I think, has it.
Right. I'm not sure about that one, if he does or not, but I think I heard something about that as well. I mean, anyway, that's all the news around the world. I mean, in terms of gaming, a lot of conventions have been cancelled. A lot of things have been cancelled as well, or being turned into like digital things, or basically they're being done in a way so there's going to be a small group of people who are invited, and it's going to be done behind closed doors. Like TennoCon just got announced as well for Warframe. E3 got cancelled. TwitchCon Amsterdam got cancelled.
EGX Res is postponed.
Yeah, EGX Res got postponed, and most likely the next EGX will probably get cancelled as well by the looks of it. Or postponed. I'm assuming the same is going to happen to Gamescom, but I feel like with E3, I feel like they're probably going to end up doing it in a way where they promote all their games and all that kind of stuff via like massive streamers and YouTubers as well, which I think makes sense when it comes to the marketing side for games companies, etc. I mean, realistically, how big the YouTube entertainment industry is, and Twitch as well, I think that will probably end up being a bigger sell point for
Well, if you look at some games that didn't get released that way or got revealed via Twitch streams, like where they'll say, okay, we're going to do a big reveal stream at such and such a time on such and such a date.
Yeah.
And then you go into that channel, and if it's a big game, you will see thousands. There's been some games revealed on Twitch that had like up on maybe 50, 60, 70, 80,000 viewers just watching, waiting for that first peek at what was the new version or the new game to be dropped.
Didn't Apex Legends have something like that?
Yeah, well, Apex Legends was just dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
true.
do any marketing whatsoever. They just dropped the game on a Friday. There you go, have fun.
Yeah.
So, but if you had other games, doing that, and then maybe collaborating with huge YouTubers to release at the same time, the videos at the same time, kind of like what EA used to do.
Yeah.
Like with
their
the
game
Battlefield
changes.
series.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have all the game changers like Jack Frags and Level Cap and all them would all release videos pretty much once the NDA would be lifted at the same time.
Yeah.
And then they'd also be doing a live stream, from the developers themselves to show it off, and it'd be pretty fucking huge and be very successful. Well, so I don't see why the likes of, I guess, Digital Extremes or TennoCon couldn't do something similar.
Yeah.
It would be, I guess, a bigger, another dev stream of sorts, just a bigger dev stream, more celebrated dev stream, kind of, which is kind of what it is anyway.
Yeah, basically, to be honest, that's what it usually comes down to. Did you see the actually the other one who told me about it, the couple in the UK, that one of the women who was wearing a bucket and a scarf to prevent herself from getting the coronavirus, and the other guy was wearing a plastic bag on his head. Dude, I saw that article.
She had the scarf.
Yeah.
She had the scarf wrapped around the handle of the bucket. She had a little window cut in the bucket as well. No, the bag had a window cut in the front of the bag. Clear plastic put on it. Yeah.
I was just like, some people, like, I understand you're trying to be safe, but come on, man. Get some sense.
Bag over your head isn't safe, though.
Exactly.
Who told him that was safe?
I think, yeah. I don't think anyone told him that was safe. That's just him assuming or whatever else, but...
Yeah.
I guess that's where the Darwin Award comes into play as well.
Oh, without doubt.
Like survival of the fittest, isn't it?
Fuck, yeah.
Man, March is a very, very busy month. There's a lot of game releases this month. I remember us having this conversation between Division 2's Warlords DLC, Destiny 2, the new season for that, Warframe's Scarlet Keep event thing. Scarlet Keep? No, Scarlet Keep is Destiny, sorry. Scarlet Spear. Yeah, I was thinking of Destiny for a second. Doom Eternal coming out. Arc Genesis. You're gonna tilt a lot of people with that one. The Arc Genesis DLC dropping, Animal Crossing that people are obsessed over, and I still don't understand why. Because
I don't get it either.
I don't know Animal Crossing at all, but I don't understand the massive obsession over it as well that people have with Animal Crossing. I wanted to look into it, but I was like, you know what? I really don't care. I'm just gonna play Iceborne.
Yeah.
So speaking of Iceborne, Safi Jivas comes, Stygians and Ogres here, and then the full siege is next week as well, which is so much.
There's a lot, dude. There's nearly too much this month. Nearly fucking everything dropping at one time.
I feel like this is one of those things where it is a problem for us as content creators, but it's never a bad problem because we end up having sometimes months where there's nothing released. But at the same time, it's a case of when too much is released at the same time, how do you just, divide your time so you can do all these other games and everything else as well? Because it's not like these games are just releasing an update and people can play. Like Division has a season pass, Destiny has one, Warframe has one, Battlefield has one, Star Wars Battlefront has one. All these other games have it. Arc Genesis is a grindy game. Doom Eternal as well. It's a single player game. Monster Hunter has its own sort of grind to it and all that kind of shit. And I'm just thinking to myself, what? I don't have enough time to play all these things. Although, having said all that, you played a few of these games. What game are you kind of leaning towards? Personally?
Right now,
Division.
Right now, I'm spending a lot of time in the Division. I'm just enjoying that kind of core gameplay loop of jumping in, doing the bounties, going for different gear sets or different builds.
Yeah.
And trying for different weapons, and probably just trying to level up the specialization more than anything.
Yeah.
I did jump in. I'm probably looking at Doom next week. Is it next week? I think it is.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. It's
that more than anything, just because it's one of those kind of real feel good kind of games.
Yeah.
Outside of that, Destiny 2 jumped into the season with you the other day.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it because I haven't played it in a while. I haven't played Destiny in about a month or so, but it seems very, very repetitive this season. So I'm not sure what kind of time I'll put into that. Iceborne as well, probably feeling the same way about Iceborne right now because we did kind of grind the shit out of it.
Yeah. I think with Iceborne, I'm just going to wait for the full siege for Safi Jiva before I jump into it because
I think I will as well.
I don't really care about the recon, and it's not like Stygians and Ogres going to leave. So I'll just, I'll do that eventually. It's not a big deal. Like, I still want to play Arc Genesis as well, but again, that's one of those things I can just get a server for that whenever. So it's like, I'm not restricted on time as compared to, say, Division or Destiny and Warframe because they all have the Nightwave or the season pass or whatever else like that, and then the manhunt in Division. But I think out of all the games, Division 2's gameplay loop, like you said, is so good right now, which was genuinely surprising to me, because I genuinely thought Division 2, the DLC, was not going to be that great. And
yeah, because you didn't put much time into it when it originally dropped. I'm sure you didn't. You leveled up and you finished the main story, but then that's kind of where you dropped out.
I kind of got bored of it. Like, it felt so repetitive on Division 1. I just kind of got bored of it, but I don't know what it is. I think with the whole recalibration library system, having a clear set of what you're trying to achieve in the game and having a solid gameplay loop, that's basically what made Division 2 so much more fun and in-depth for me to play now. Before, it was just like, here's a bajillion numbers, here's, you can do a million damage with your guns, that's it, just figure it all out. And I'm like, that's too much information. It's literally an information overload. That's like, I don't have time to sift through all this kind of stuff. You need to give me some sort of structure, which this DLC did, and it's just so good.
Yeah, the set pieces feel kind of, the builds that you can get kind of feel a little bit better. When enemies originally feel a little bit kind of spongy and tanky, the sheer amounts of armor that they have, but once you actually get your gear set up, they still melt relatively quickly, even when we've been doing some of the heroic stuff.
Yeah,
they've been dying quick enough, just with the exception of maybe the named bosses and that. But I've been enjoying it. As well as I need to finish off Doom in order for preparation for next week. But there's been no other real games. Although I really need to jump in and finish Control, because I never finished Control.
Control was a good game.
It's getting its first DLC on the 26th of this month.
Is it this month? I thought it was next month. Bloody hell. Too much things coming out this month.
26th of March. Yeah.
So, did you know that Division 2 is also getting a movie on Netflix?
Is it?
Yeah. Division 2 is getting a movie based on the game. It's going to be coming to Netflix, and it stars Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal, or however you say his name.
Yeah,
yeah, he's going to be in it as well, apparently. I don't know when it's scheduled to be released, but yeah, someone was talking about it in one of the streams I was lurking in. I think must have been Professor Broman's stream I was lurking in at the time. And they were talking about, no, it was Kevin's stream. That's when they were talking about it. And I was like, really? They're making a movie for Division? I'm sure that'll be interesting.
All right, so it's the guy, David Leitch, who directed Deadpool 2 and TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, there's also a movie announced for Monster Hunter World. Have you seen the posters for it?
I did, yeah.
It literally looks like she's just holding a short sword. It doesn't even look like a great sword.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also got Tony Jaa in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, Tony Jaa and Mila
from on back.
Yeah, Mila Jovovich or whatever her name is. I'm bad with names.
Yeah, Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, that's the one.
I think the guy that's the director though has had her in a lot of his movies.
Isn't she his wife?
His wife, yeah.
That's why she was in all of the Resident Evils as well. I really do hope, if they are gonna make it into a movie, I hope it ends up being good. But I don't know, man. Like, the World of Warcraft movie was kind of dire, to be fair. I think if any game series was ever turned into a movie, one series which I would love to actually see like a proper movie for, Warhammer 40k. I don't know that much about that universe, but I think that would be such a sick universe to have a proper movie, like mainstream kind of movie, not someone that's like fan art or animated or whatever else, like a mainstream one. That'd be really, really sick. I could actually see Idris Elba as one of the chaplains in that as well, because he just kind of gives that sort of vibe of being one of the Space Marines in it. So yeah,
it would be cool. I'd love to see something like that as well. I don't know if there's any other games. Like, there's not a lot of games that make it into movies and become successful.
Yeah,
there hasn't really been any. I don't think. When you look at like the Warcraft movie, it kind of bombed over here in the West, but it was huge, I think, in Asia. I think it made like fucking hundreds of millions in Asia.
Yeah.
And any other game that you can think of that was made into a movie never really did well.
So you have you seen Sonic the Hedgehog yet?
Yeah, I watched it the day before yesterday. That with that one and What other one? What other movie?
Pikachu.
Yeah, they'd probably be the two exceptions.
Yeah, those were two really, really good
Or the
movies.
Super Mario movie from years ago. That was great.
Oh my god, I need to watch that for movie night, you know.
Yeah, that was movie was great movie.
Just yeah. Did you ever see the original Silent Hill movie? The one with Sean Bean in it?
I think I did actually, yeah.
I actually really liked that movie. I didn't see the second one, but I did see the first one, and I kind of really liked that movie. It just had a really, really kind of good vibe to it. I think outside of that, the only other movies that I can think of right now, I guess the Tomb Raider movie, Assassin's Creed, and then the Hitman movie that was made with Timothy Olyphant as well.
Yeah, they're easy to watch, but they're not exactly riveting.
Yeah,
riveting
exactly.
movies, you know?
Exactly.
You know? There's like we were only talking about, you know, the Street Fighters movie.
Oh God, is that with Jean-Claude Van Damme?
Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kylie Minogue and a few of those in it as well, you know.
And then the what's the other one? Mortal Kombat movies as well. Oh my God, I remember those. Yeah. Those were so bad. They were great.
Dude, fucking Doom. Do you remember the Doom movie with The Rock?
Oh yeah, that was with Carl Urban, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one as well.
That was fucking terrible.
That's actually on Netflix now as well. We actually watched it for movie night a while back. Yeah. So on the topic of movies, what would you say is like your favorite movie of all time? I know that's a very hard question to answer, especially for someone like you and me who watches a lot of movies and TV shows and stuff like that. But if you were to think of one movie that you could easily go back to watch, you know, regardless of however many times you've watched it or anything else like that, what movie would you end up choosing for that?
I guess to be epics more than anything. I enjoy watching all of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
The Gladiator. I've probably watched Gladiator more than any other movie. The same goes for maybe the Michael Collins movie. I don't know if you've seen that one.
I don't think I have.
Michael Collins. It's based on an Irishman who basically brought about the separation from Ireland from England.
Right. Okay.
So it's based on him. It's based on him, and it's an epic. Liam Neeson plays him.
Okay.
So it was huge over here. I think it was huge in America as well because everyone in America is Irish apparently.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they're like, I'm half Irish and half Scottish and half you know, Saxon and all that. I'm like yeah.
One quarter Chinese, but then I'm like 4/5 Irish and
the funny thing is, they're all kind of proud of saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm half Irish or Italian or whatever else." Yet all of a sudden they're like, immigrants took my jobs. I'm like, mate, you're an immigrant yourself. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I think when it comes to like favorite movie of all time, probably have to go with Shawshank Redemption. I think I've seen that movie about 80 to 100 times. I have seen that movie so many times. I know like most of the lines from that movie and I absolutely love it. But again, it's one of those things, it's such a hard thing to pick because there's that, and then there's Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 13. Those two are one of my two of my favorite movies as well. Like I've seen Ocean's 13 so many times. I remember when I went to TennaCon last year, I was at an Airbnb with a few people from the community for Warframe, including Sharky, one of the Tennagen artists as well. And I said to him, I was like, you know what? We've got a projector. We'll watch Ocean's 13, you know, for a movie night. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I'm sitting there right next to him, and we're all having like ice cream with Baileys on it and all that kind of stuff. And I'm basically saying the lines that are happening as they're happening under my breath. And Sharky who's sitting next to me, he can hear me, and he's like, "Dude, shut up. Let me enjoy the movie." I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna do it again. And then a couple of minutes later, I start off again because I've seen the movie so many times, and I know the lines so much. I just naturally ended up doing it. And he's like, I'm going to turn it off if you don't stop doing it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. I've seen it too many times.
You've seen it too many times, yeah.
It's just such a good movie.
I don't know, there would have been older movies that I remember growing up, and there's like, what's your first, I guess, recollection of movies that would have caught your interest when you were a kid? Because I remember watching movies like Jason and the Argonauts. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah, ages ago.
I've seen it as a kid. I've not seen it in years, but movies like that where they were fighting big, massive monsters, and Sinbad, I think was another one. The Voyage of Sinbad. I
remember that one.
all those types of movies.
Ben-Hur, that was another one which I watched.
Yeah, Ben, I could probably easily go back and watch those movies again, but I'd
Yeah.
imagine you'd be looking at them in a completely different light because of the effects and that in them, you know?
It's like kind of like retro gaming, isn't it? Like people go back and play all these old school
Yeah.
games. It's the sort of the same. It's like retro movie night, I guess.
Yeah,
But there's some really, really good movies as well. Like there was this one movie that I watched, The Count of Monte Cristo, the old one I watched. And I watched it because it was mentioned in another movie that I watched recently. And I went back and I watched it. I was like, this is actually not a bad movie. And I really, really enjoyed it as well. It was really, really well done. And I guess when it comes to...
Is the old one or the one...
The older one, yeah.
Not
I
the
think
one from 2000.
no, even older. 1 second. Count.
It was in 1940.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one which I've watched. And I was like, this is a really, really good movie. I really enjoyed it for what it was. I think when it comes to older movies than that, because my childhood was growing up in India, most of the movies that I ended up watching there tend to be like Bollywood movies. And there were some really, really good Bollywood movies. Like over time, I don't really think I've watched that many Bollywood movies recently, but that's mostly because they kind of bored me, unless they had like some sort of good substance or a good storyline to them, in which case I'll watch them. There's this one particular movie for anyone who's Indian who's listening to the podcast, if you've ever heard of it. It's called Hera Fairy. It's about like these guys who end up having, so it's one particular person who owns a garage, and his telephone number gets mixed up with someone else who is a much more wealthier person, and he has a business for fisheries and all that kind of stuff. So that wealthy person's granddaughter gets kidnapped, but because their telephone numbers get swapped in the phone directory, the kidnappers keep ringing the garage people, and the garage people basically think of using that as an opportunity to make some money and basically kind of hustle the person whose granddaughter was, kidnapped as well.
Yeah.
And it's a comedy movie, but it's been done so well, and the comedy routine in that is so good. I absolutely love that movie.
Oh, it sounds really fucking good.
Yeah.
Braveheart would have been another one here.
Braveheart was a good movie as well.
The story of Braveheart is kind of all fake. It's all Hollywood, you know, but it still would have been a movie I could watch multiple times, you know. Any
particular favorite movie from last year that you ended up watching, or which you really, really liked?
No. Not that I can think of. Genuinely, none that I can genuinely think of that really stood out last year that I could watch.
I can tell you a couple.
Right.
Joker, because that was last year.
I don't think I could watch that again and again though, because it's quite dark and depressing. Like you literally, like I could watch it a few times, but I think that'd be it, because it's a movie of a guy literally getting just torn down, just constantly getting kicked when he's down. So I think I'd find it hard to kind of watch it again and again and again.
I think I've watched that twice so far. John Wick 3 was last year. I could watch that one definitely a fair few times. Well, I'm trying to think what else was there last year.
Avengers Endgame.
Yeah, that was last year? I thought it was... it was last year. Oh my god, yeah, it was.
The Irishman, you know, where you got to sit down for like over 3 hours and get numb bum.
Hey, I'm used to it. Bollywood movies tend to be about 2.5 hours, 3 hours long with an intermission in between. So I'm kind of used to that. You know, everyone's like, oh, it's too long. I'm like, you casuals.
Have you watched Parasite?
No, I heard a lot about it, but I haven't got around to watching it yet.
Yeah, same here. There's other ones. There's like 1917, if you've watched that. The Jojo Rabbit movie as well. There was...
Jojo Rabbit was a really good movie.
I've not watched it.
You know what? I'd really recommend it. If you haven't gotten around to watching it, definitely watch it. You'd be surprised. It's such a good movie. We watched that literally last week. 2 weeks back for movie night, and it just blows my mind. It's so well done. And the acting and the whole theme behind it is just so well done that, yeah, I think you definitely enjoy that movie. The humor as well is really well done too. And then there's also Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, when it comes to movies and directors, Quentin Tarantino is definitely one of my favorite directors. However, I don't think Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was that great a movie,
No.
which is, you know, surprising because I thought it would be.
Is there
a
action
pretty
in
good
it?
one.
What's in it? Like Tarantino's movies always have some kind of action in it. Is it just drama? Is it a story? I've not even looked it up.
It's a bit slow. So it's basically about the story or about the life of a particular actor who gets older and he gets a bit more washed out, and his what's it called, stunt double, his life, and also the life of Margot Robbie. I forgot what character she plays in that as well. And I think someone was saying to me it was about the Manson murders as well. Like it kind of ties into all of that. But the problem is that it's almost 3.5 hours long, and the main action that happens is in the last 15 minutes of the movie. And I feel like that movie could have easily been cut down a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad movie. It was just too long.
Have you watched Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler?
No, I've heard about it.
Raving about it. Everyone raving about how incredible it is, and it should have been nominated for an Oscar. And it's probably should have, because it's one of those movies where it's about a guy constantly just shooting himself in the foot, kind of like making mistake after mistake after mistake, and getting into more and more trouble as he's a gem dealer, like a Jewish gem dealer in America.
Yeah.
And he keeps making these deals to try and get the next big score and the next big score. But to do that, he's going to loan sharks, and then he gets a big hit with horses, and he goes somewhere else to get more money to fund something else. And it's just it's the downward spiral of his life kind of unwinding.
This is sounding like
it's really hard to watch.
Right.
You know, like I watched I think I watched about 45 minutes of it, and then I turned it off. Like, no, no, it's just there's too much. You know?
It's kind of reminded me a little bit when you were mentioning the Jewish guy with gems in the US. It reminded me a little bit of the movie Snatch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was a good movie, dude. I absolutely love that one. That one and
Snatch that had Boris the Blade in it.
Yeah, that's the one.
Lockstock?
No, that was Boris the Blade was in that one. Yeah, in Snatch.
Yeah.
Like you like Dags? It was just such a good movie. I absolutely love. Yeah, Periwinkle Blue.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to movies, have you ever seen a movie that has kind of incited any sort of like emotion with it? Like for me, it's very hard to cry when it comes to watching movies or anything else like that. I've never really been that kind of person that has, you know, shed a tear when it comes to movies, except for like 2 or 3 movies here and there where I've actually kind of you know, had like proper emotion coming out of it.
Transformers, such a phenomenal movie. I think I cried with the scenery and the action.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Especially with the new one with Mark Wahlberg is such a good fucking actor.
Oh
Mark
yeah.
Wahlberg playing Mark Wahlberg, trying to play someone else is really tear jerking. You know.
You mean sarcastic and all that, but I actually like Mark Wahlberg, you know.
Did you watch his new movie on Netflix? Quite good. Marley and Me, I think I remember. Is that the one with the dog?
Wasn't that with Owen Wilson?
Yeah, have you seen Marley and Me?
I haven't actually seen it, no.
Oh, right, okay, well I won't ruin it, but yeah, I think that one, because it's all about the dog the whole way through, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You know, I find it really
I'm not sure what
funny that when it comes to games, when it comes to movies, when it comes to any of that kind of stuff, we tend to feel a lot worse when a pet dies or when a dog or a cat dies than when a person dies. I mean, do you remember I Am Legend when he had to kill Sam because she got infected?
God, yeah.
Oh, I hated that scene so much. I hated that scene.
It's like John Wick.
Oh,
you know, everyone just talks about the fact that it was the dog that was killed. You know, not about the 650 guys he killed for retribution for the dog. It was poor dog, you know?
To be fair, though, you know, if I was in his place and I was as appropriately skilled and, you know, geared up, I probably would have done the same.
Yeah.
You know, if you kill my dog, I kick you.
There's definitely movies that have, I guess, given you the lump in the throat when something happens in it. You know, when someone passes away or someone gets killed or something like that in it. But I genuinely can't think of ones that Marley and Me is probably one that stands out because my wife talks about it. She's always on about The Notebook as well.
Right.
It's done for her, but it's not one I've watched a whole lot of.
Did you ever see 7 Pounds?
Yeah, but Will Smith, it's quite good.
That was the movie which I watched at 1 o'clock at night because I was house sitting for my uncle because they had to go to Leicester for something. and I was at home alone, and I was watching that because it was on telly, and that was the movie which just kind of like properly got me emotional and kind of got like a tear in my eye just because of the story and the theme of it all, in the sense that, you know, he's dying and he's trying to, or rather he doesn't want to live anymore and he wants to kind of donate his organs and everything else, and how he goes about picking the people for it as well. That movie was very, very powerful for me. I found it as such a good movie overall. I feel it was a bit slower as well, but I think with the kind of movie the way it was, the pacing was really, really well done for that one as well.
Yeah.
And then the other movie which I felt like proper emotion with was After Earth, because it was so bad I wanted to punch Jaden Smith.
I've not even watched it, and I don't fucking plan on watching it. But I've done that. Have you ever seen there's a movie called, is it Ghosts of Mars?
Yes! Is that the one with Jason Statham as well? Oh no, I'm thinking of another one.
Ghosts of Mars. Ghosts of Mars has Ice Cube in it.
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah, Jason Statham's in it as well. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, he is. He's in it as well. But I went to what year did that? What year was that released in?
Oh, that came out in 2001. Ghost of Mars was 2001.
I was only dating my wife a year or so, or 2 years at that stage, and we used to go to the cinema every so often. And I had seen the trailer for Ghosts of Mars, and I thought it looked awesome. And I said to her about going to the cinema to watch it. So that was our date night, and we went to the cinema to watch it. And the two of us walked out of the cinema, and both of us went, "What the fuck was that all about?" I can't even remember a bit of the story. I think I fell asleep for 5 minutes in the middle of it. It was so fucking bad. So that was one that definitely gave an emotion where I wanted to get my fucking money back.
Do you like watching scary movies?
Some of them, yeah. Sometimes, yeah. Depends on the movie, I guess. Depends on how good it is. I've seen quite a few, but there's some that I just don't really do for me.
I hate scary movies. I can't do scary movies or scary games. I am the biggest bitch when it comes to both of them. Me and my friends decided to go see Paranormal Activity. I didn't think it was going to be that scary. Now, there's something that people who, if you don't know about it, I have a really, really bad eyesight. Like -7 in my left eye, -7.5 in my right. So like I'm more or less blind without my glasses. Anyway, we go to the cinema to watch Paranormal Activity. And there was this one particular scene that was exceptionally scary, and everything else, like everyone was
saying... So you're with your friends, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to act as manly as you possibly can, but this isn't going to scare you.
No. Here's the thing. It didn't scare me.
I'm totally fine.
Here's the thing. It didn't scare me. You know why? Because I had the 200 IQ. Yeah, I took my glasses off. So I couldn't see anything on the cinema, and I couldn't be scared.
That's a bitch move, though. That's a bitch move.
Yeah, but people didn't know that.
You
I took
paid
it
in
off.
so as you couldn't see it, though. You may as well have just faced your chair the other way.
Dude, oh my god, I did not sleep that night when I got back home, because there were other bits that got me, and I actually screamed, and there was a couple sitting behind me. They were giggling at me because I was screaming like a girl. You know, when I panic on stream sometimes, and you know, I do that scream. It was sort of like that. I let out a yelp, and the couple behind me were giggling at me every time I let out a yelp as well. I was like, look, stop laughing at me. It's not funny, you know. And they turned back and they started laughing as well because of what I said.
I think movies like The Ring, The Grudge, the Blair Witch I think the Blair Witch Project, when I was younger, I remember watching it, and it freaked the absolute crap out of me. Just that bit right at the end, I think freaked me out a lot. I think there was one called The House. I remember growing up in the housing estate where I was. There was one family lived like 2 doors down from me. And it was 3 boys, and they were allowed to do fucking anything. They were like, the mother would let them away with murder.
Yeah.
So when we were small kids, they were watching horror movies when they were like 8 and 9. Do you know what I mean? Like adult horror movies when they were 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And I remember his name was Chris, and Chris said to me about coming up to watch a movie in the house, and I was going up thinking, I'm going to watch something to be a laugh, you know. And we go into the sitting room. It's in the middle of the day. But they close the curtains, big heavy curtains, so the whole sitting room is just pitch black. And next thing they put on a movie, I think it was called The House, and it was basically about this kind of house that would come alive, and different rooms would have different monsters in it, and all this. And I remember like the kid fell into like the underneath the stairs, the doorway underneath the stairs. Next thing, he found himself in a jungle in Vietnam, and there was guys getting ripped to pieces, and he was trying to escape back out the doorway. I think I was like 8 or 9 or 10.
What the hell?
And I remember being absolutely terrified, and the other kids were laughing at it all. Like, this guy getting torn to pieces, and the 3 boys were laughing their heads off it, and I was going, "What the?" So there's movies like that. Aliens. I hated Aliens. Aliens was a movie that I still can't watch an Aliens movie.
Yeah.
Darby O'Gill and the Little People.
What's that about little people?
Have you never seen that?
No, I've never seen that one, no.
Right, so Darby O'Gill and the Little People is about, it stars Sean Connery, right? And it's about this guy who's about to date this girl. They're in Ireland, right? And next thing, a leprechaun shows up.
Right.
And the leprechaun, they're after the pot of gold off the leprechaun and all this. But then there's a part. Just stop, right? This is based on true events in Ireland, all right? This is based on true events, okay? But there's a part of that movie where, you know what a banshee is, right? So banshee in Irish lore or Irish mythology is basically she heralds death. Basically,
right.
If you hear a banshee, it means that someone you know or someone close to you is going to die. If you see a banshee, then it means you're going to die.
Yeah.
So there's a section of that movie where it's basically a banshee coming down from the mountains in this kind of horse-drawn carriage, screaming the whole way down and crying the whole way down, wailing.
Yeah.
And they can hear it. And she's coming down to pick up the guy like Sean Connery's father or father-in-law to take him away because he's about to die. And it's them trying to stop him. And is that clip, because the banshee shows up twice throughout the movie, it absolutely terrified me. And I think pretty much every Irish person who's ever watched Darby O'Gill and the Little People will have that one moment when it is the clip of the banshee, you know. So there's fucking leprechauns in it. There's pots of gold. There's Sean Connery doing an Irish jig and loads of diddly diddlies and all of this sort of stuff. But there's also the banshee. So the banshee was kind of terrifying.
Oh man, that just reminded me of I've forgotten now what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, the latest season of Sabrina, right? First of all, let me just say that
I couldn't watch it.
It was terrible. It was an absolutely terrible season. I watched it from start to finish because I usually like watching it, even if it's bad, I'll watch it till the end, just so I can basically say I watched it till the end. Episodes. It's trash.
I watched 4 episodes and it reminded me of Glee.
Yeah.
Do you know the TV show Glee? Yeah. Because every episode had a fucking song and dance in it.
It was bad.
That was nothing like season 1. I thought it was terrible, so it was.
Yeah, it was. Season 3 was really, really bad. And there was in one of the episodes, basically the whole banshee thing happened as well, where the banshee showed up, so they were trying to keep the banshee away from claiming the body of the dead person, this and that. So yeah, I understand what you mean about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Banshees are quite kind of ingrained in kids growing up. You remember growing up and you'd hear a dog howling outside and you'd be going, "Is that a banshee?" You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
Did you ever see any movies that was kind of like a mindfuck for you? Like you have to watch it a few times to understand what the plot of the movie was actually
any movie where they're going back and forward in time without actually telling you they're going back and forward in time. I watched one recently, I can't remember what it was. Oh, there was a movie recently where it's basically, was it The Witcher? The Witcher.
Yeah, The Witcher had that.
Show, The Witcher had that where it's constantly going back and forward, but it doesn't tell you that it's going back and forward.
Yeah, it's only until the end I realized.
Yeah, you realize it. Yeah, towards the end of the series, you go, right, okay. So that was like before he met her, and that. So movies that do that kind of fuck with my head. Movies like Inception as well, which were like, wait, what are they talking about?
Yeah,
or it was the
ending
one where,
especially.
Yeah, and then there's the one with Bruce Willis where he has to come back and kill himself.
What was that Looper? Looper, wasn't it?
Looper as well. I was like, wait, what? So yeah, movies like that where I just want to sit down and watch a movie where I not have to think. Leave my brain at the door.
One of my favorite movies, which I never understood what the hell was going on the first time I watched it, or the first 4 times I watched it, was Revolver. The one with Jason Statham. That was a really, really good movie. It had Joey Diaz, Jason Statham, Andre 3000. And that movie, it took me, I think, 6 views in total to understand what the concept of it was. And oh my God, I absolutely loved that movie. But the first time I was like, the fuck is this? The hell did I just watch? I have no idea what's going on. Same with Shutter Island. Shutter Island took me, admittedly, 2 viewings to understand the concept of the ending.
Oh yeah, I watched Shutter Island once and I just went, I'm not watching that again. It's
the ending that kind of messed with me when he says that one particular line. Is it better to live, is it better to die as a good person or live as a monster? And and when that scene happened, that's when I realized, you know, the second time I watched it, what his choice entailed with the whole lobotomy thing. But the first time I watched it, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? Man's been smoking some of that green, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Shutter Island, I really enjoyed Shutter Island as well. That was another movie which I really enjoyed. Inception, I think Inception was just kind of left with a sort of open ending for people to interpret in however they felt. Because he didn't really, like, the director never actually said if he's in a dream or not. So it's kind of open to interpretation for people who are watching the movie to decide, do you think he was in a dream or not as well? Yeah. But yeah, that was kind of like a good mindfuck, so to speak. Any movies that have angered you or frustrated you when watching, or you've not finished? There have been a few movies for me. After
I mentioned that one as well. The one, like I said, where I went to the cinema with the wife. That'd be basically. There's been a few, like the one with Adam Sandler as well recently. Couldn't watch the end of it because it was just too depressing. The movie was just very depressing, you know.
Did you ever watch The Room? I keep hearing a lot of people talk about this movie, The Room. I've never watched it myself. I don't even know what the hell it's about.
Oh, it's fucking that Tommy Wiseau guy.
Oh,
I did not do it. Yeah, I did not do it. That one.
Yeah.
It's basically the worst. It's ranked as the worst movie ever made.
I'll tell you another movie that was really bad. Did you ever see John Carter?
God, yes. It's on. Was it on Netflix recently?
Oh my God, I hate that movie. I can't believe, you know how I said to you earlier on that I will sit through an entire movie or TV show and then kind of give my opinion for it. John Carter is one movie I watched half an hour of. I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not watching this trash. And I closed it. It was so bad. I tried watching it again like a couple months down the line. I got an hour in. I was like, yeah, I can't do this. It's just really bad. I just do not want to watch this movie. It's just like some movies are just so badly made, and I can't believe that, you know, they come out from a company like Disney or whatever else that ended up making it. I'm just like, what is this trash? There are some movies that are really bad, but they're kind of good.
Sharknado?
Yeah. And also George Clooney's Batman with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. The one with the nipple suit.
Yeah.
And then with all the ice puns from Arnold's you know, thingy, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Mr. Freeze, Dr.
Mr. Freeze, that's it, yeah.
I can't remember what his name is, But yeah.
Freeze.
Some movies become so bad they become infamous.
Yeah.
You know, that loads of people watch them because out of curiosity more than anything. Let's watch this just to see how fucking bad it actually is, you know? Like Die Hard.
Yeah. One of my favorite, you know, scenes from that Batman movie is when Mr. Freeze pops up and he goes, "What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age." Every single time.
Yeah, it's so giggle. Cheesy though. It's terrible. But that's because you love puns, shitty puns like that.
I do. I admit it 100%. I love puns. They're really funny. They're very punny. Quite enjoyable. When it comes to, I guess for holiday seasons, and I know this is a controversial topic with us already because we've had this sort of discussion before, but I'm telling you right now, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. You can say whatever you want. It's set during Christmas. They even say Happy Christmas and all that. There was a Christmas tree in the movie. It's a Christmas movie. And just because Bruce Willis said that it's not a Christmas movie doesn't mean shit. He's bald. His opinion doesn't matter.
Wow.
Come on, man. Die Hard is a movie that a lot of people watch for Christmas. Granted, they also watch other stuff as well alongside it, which are like, you know, Christmassy movies. Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, it's not really though. Like movies like Home Alone, like ones with Santa Claus in them, not with a guy going around Nakatomi Plaza, crawling through events, killing people. It was
during Christmas, so it's very Christmassy.
No, this is bullshit. You can't. No, I'm not going to stand for it. It's not. It's legit not.
Okay, so for the
It
people,
could be set on any other day of the year. You could have it on Easter, and then people would still be saying it's an Easter movie. You know, where there's no Easter bunny in it. Well, there's one scene where there's a teddy that's an Easter bunny. No.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave it up for people listening to the podcast to answer that question. Do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not? As far as I'm concerned, it is. And if you say no, then your opinion doesn't matter anyway. But
there's too many weapons, too much gunshed, too much brains being blown out, not enough kind of Santa Claus stuff. They're not in a mall at any time with like putting people sitting on the fake Santa's knee. There's no I was gonna say there's no Christmas tree, but there is.
Oh, you ever see Bad Santa with Billy Bob Thornton?
Yeah, that's a proper
movie.
Christmas one.
Oh yeah, that's a Christmas movie with all the swearing and the humping and robbing and everything else.
But he's still dressed as Santa, and it's about that time of year, you know? It's a bad Christmas movie, but it's still a Christmas movie.
Did you ever see Howard the Duck, I think it was?
No, I didn't, and I don't think I ever want to. There was rumors, I think, that it was about to be remade, so was they going to remake it?
Yeah. I watched that when I was very young because it was on TV and there was nothing else on. And my brain just melted. I was like, what the hell is this trash? Why am I watching this?
Was it a comic or something, was it?
It's like a Marvel comic character, isn't it, from what I understand? There was this one movie which I remember growing up as a kid, which I watched as well. It was something about ducks. It was like a ice hockey kind of sports movie.
The Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, yeah. I remember watching those.
Mighty Ducks was awesome.
Yeah, I like those movies. You know what? Going back, I just remembered another movie that I felt proper emotion with. Did you ever see a movie called Coach Carter with Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, the basketball one.
Yeah. That one and Remember the Titans. Those were two really, really good movies. And Men of Honor with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Remember the Titans had... the guy gets paralyzed in it, doesn't he? Yeah. I think that was one where I remember thinking, oh, fuck.
Yeah, there have been so many good movies that have come out over time. Like, I understand, like, a lot of people within, like, the gaming space, for example, may not even watch TV or movies and all that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people end up watching anime because, for some reason, anime is like... Weebs. Well, yeah, I mean, you watch anime. You're a weeb as well, just as much as anyone else. What do you... No, I don't. Of course you do. Although you did suggest to me to watch One Punch Man, and I did watch that, and I kind of did enjoy it. But I still...
No, you need to watch the other one.
Well, what was the other one you said to me?
Mob Psycho.
Mob Psycho, that's the one.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out as well at some point as well. I feel that's a pretty good, that's a good wrap for the episode as well. Kind of went through all the movies and everything else as well. I think there are a couple of movies which I am looking forward to. Quiet Place 2, although that got delayed because of the coronavirus stuff happening.
Oh, I need to watch that first one tonight. That's what I'm going to do tonight.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now, so you should be able to watch that. There are some other movies which I'm looking forward to, including that new one with Vin Diesel, where he's basically a nanomachine, son.
I don't know. Everything with Vin Diesel is fucking way over the top. I think there's one scene where he's falling and he gets shot with a shotgun and you see his whole one half of his body just fucking blowing away, and then all of a sudden it just goes back together again. It's like, what? It's Fast and the Furious 12.
The only things, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Vin Diesel, which he's done, which are really, really good, is the Riddick movies. Like Riddick, Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, and Riddick. I love that series. It's just I love the
first one, the first Pitch Black.
That series was just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Although there was one movie that he was in, I've forgotten who the main actor was. Did you ever see a movie called The Boiler Room?
Oh god, yeah, it's a really old movie, yeah.
Yeah, the one about the stocks and
yeah.
Where they were stockbrokers and they were basically fake stockbrokers, so to speak. That was a good movie. I really, really liked that movie. That one and Four Brothers. Those were two really, really good movies, which I really enjoyed.
I forgot that he was in Saving Private Ryan until I watched it. My wife had never seen it, and we watched it a few weeks ago.
Oh my god, that's right. He was in it.
Diesel in it, and then he gets sniped and he's left lying on the ground as bait. While he's slowly dying. That was one. I think that was one of his first movies.
Yeah, I forgot about that one as well. To be fair, that's kind of crazy. Well, that's been a pretty solid episode. I don't think there's anything else that I can think of in terms of movies or anything else like that, unless there's anything else that you can think of.
Nope.
All right. Well, that's a pretty That's very concise right there, then, I guess. I guess we'll call it a wrap with that one then. In that case, cheers for joining for the podcast episode as always, people. And we'll catch you in the next one.